Hello, welcome to ExplorinVictorian. Today, we're going to take a look at a 19th century can opener. We're going to open a can of peaches, and then we're going to bake them. Let's get to it. So today, we're going to be looking at this can opener here. This is referred to as a bully or a bull's head can opener. You can see it's in the shape of a bull's head, and then the tail comes around to form the handle. It's made out of cast iron with a steel blade that's been screwed into it. And they started producing them in 1865. They stopped producing them in 1938, if I understand correctly. There's a lot of can openers that have this type of mechanism where you push the blade into the can and then sort of use the front of the can opener to pry it open. We've got a can of peaches here. A friend of mine put a period correct label on this, and we had these at camp one time. I've got one left over. I'm not sure where he got this label, but I know Logsdon & Co., if you follow 20th Century Adventures here on YouTube, his website has free PDFs to download of different can labels if you'd like to create your own. And there's all kinds of can openers on eBay and different auction places, Marketplace on Facebook. You can pick up can openers pretty much everywhere. This was a time for a lot of innovation in can openers. Canned food had been around for just a little bit, but in 1856 it gained popularity here in the US when Gail Borden came up with the sweetened condensed milk. And then in 1858 here in the US, people started patenting different types of can openers. And you can find all kinds of old school can openers. The Victorians love their kitchen gadgets just as much as we do. Now this can opener has a blade here on the back, and this is just going to puncture the can. So this is, like I say, it's cast iron. It's got some heft to it. We are just going to find a spot here next to the edge of the can, and we're going to pierce it. Just like that, just knock a hole in it. And now we're going to put our blade in. Got to kind of work your blade in a little bit. And when you do, you're going to put the bull's snout on the rim of the can, and we're going to use that to help pry the can lid open. And as you pull the blade through, just move the snout up. Now you do need to be careful because this will really create some jagged edges. That's part of what some of the can opener technology was about, was a safer can opener. So you didn't cut yourself either with the can opener or on the lid. These can openers actually work pretty well. It's hard to open a can while you're filming and make sure that everything gets in frame. You've got your hands out of the way. So I chewed it up a little more than I normally would if I was just sitting here opening this. But there are our peaches. Today's recipe is going to be baked peaches from 1881's Los Angeles Cookery. The recipe says, peel and place your peaches in a baking tin. Sprinkle liberally on each peach brown sugar, little flour, and a lump of butter. Just before placing in the oven, add warm water sufficient to secure a nice gravy, being careful not to disturb the sugar, flour, or butter. Bake until soft and a light brown. Today we're here at my home, and I'm going to be baking this in the oven in my kitchen. I've gone ahead and preheated my oven to 375. I'm not sure exactly how long to bake these because those peaches were canned. They're already softened, So I'm gonna bake it a half hour, 45 minutes, and check them at each 15-minute mark. If you were at camp, certainly you could do this with fresh or canned peaches in a Dutch oven as well. But today we're gonna be doing it just in the oven in a baking dish. So let's see what we're gonna do next. So I'm just gonna take my peach slices out and put them in the bottom of my crock. Line this really good. So now we're just going to start sprinkling our sugar on. She didn't say how much, so just whatever looks good to you. I would estimate that we're probably about 3 tablespoons or so at this point. And now our flour. And there's probably, I would estimate, about 2 tablespoons of flour on there, so maybe just a pinch more. I'm going to take a minute, set our peaches aside, take our butter, and we're just going to slice this up into real thin slices. We're just going to lay our slices of butter right here on top, like she mentions. Just super thin slices of butter. Now the next step is to add some warm water. I just took my kettle off the stove. I heated up some water. I didn't let it get to a boiling point. I can still comfortably dip my pinky in it. And we're just going to pour this right here in our bowl. And I'm going to pour just a little splash in here. Not much at all, because there's going to be water that cooks out of these peaches. So we'll just give it a little, gentle little shake. Make sure the water's underneath all of our peaches. And I'm going to go stick this in the oven. So we've got our peaches here. I ended up baking them for 45 minutes. I checked them at the 15-minute mark, gave it just a little gentle stir. But 45 minutes is about the max for cooking canned peaches, or else they'll just turn to mush. If these had been fresh peaches, definitely they could have stayed cooking longer, 45 minutes to an hour. And you could have put them in halves with the face up, and then the gravy and everything would have been in the middle, sort of where the pit was. So took it out of the oven and set it here to cool. It's been cooling for about half hour, 40 minutes. And you can see that it's thickened up nicely. Like the recipe says, we've just got a good gravy. And so now let's plate this up. I've baked biscuits earlier today, and we are just gonna tear this guy in half and put some of our peaches on here. You can see how that's thickened up. Our sauce is thickened up. And those are ready to eat. I hope you enjoyed this video. If so, give us a like and a subscribe. If you try doing this peach recipe with either fresh or canned peaches, let us know in the comments how it turned out. I'll see you next time on Exploring Victorian.